Now listen to me. Your income and wealth is merely a reflection of your personal life. And that's why if you want to be a millionaire, you need to have the skills of a millionaire. And that's precisely why in today's video, I'm going to take a time machine and go back and share with you the 7 millionaire skill sets that I wish I knew when I was 18 years old. Now, some of these millionaire skills I actually implemented and was one of the biggest reasons why I ended up making my first $1 million profit at the age of 27. But some of these I completely overlooked. And the fact that you're watching this video, I guarantee if you take the things that I implemented plus additional skills that I didn't have implemented at that time, I guarantee you'll probably go on to be even more successful than I was. And that's why this is going to be a very exciting video. And if you're even remotely serious about your success, you're going to want to watch the full thing. The first thing, millionaire skill sets that you need to learn, and this might really shock you, is stop watching the news. Now, there are a few reasons for this. The first reason is you already have so much on your plate, right? Like you've got a big task in front of you, which is, becoming a millionaire. You don't need all these additional extra inputs and stuff like that. And quite frankly, look, there's nothing that is going on in the news that you are going to be able to affect change in this world. As harsh as this sounds, the only way that you can affect change is you have money or you have an audience, aka a platform. But if you don't have either of these things, like you're just trying to, before you can take care of other people and deal with the world issues, this and that. And by the way, this is coming from someone who has built schools for over 2,000 kids in Nepal. I do my part, but I'm telling you, I couldn't have done my part if, when I was 16 or 17, I was consumed by the news and I'm like, how can I change this world? Like, no, I had to affect change in myself first. Then once my life was abundant, I could share that abundance for the world. So that's number one. It's like anything on the news. First of all, it's not going to affect your life. Like, even when everyone argues about, the president is this and is that, those do have some changes, but like in your personal life, for goals of just trying to get to where you want to get to, I can tell you there's no difference. So that's the main reason. You've got so much on your plate and you're not really going to be able to affect the change out there. The world based on this news, and news isn't particularly going to affect you at your stage. And lastly, you'll learn this as time goes. You can't trust the news. I mean, I feel it's been fun watching it for the last 3-4 years for people to really, start from realization. But even at 12 years old, I was super diligent that I specifically did not watch the news because I knew it was one big conglomerate and that it was all owned by a very small subsection of people. And that's why when I do try to learn about something, I'm definitely not looking in the news. So millionaire skill set number one. And by the way, this is very funny because, I got told growing up, hey, millionaires, successful people, they watch the news. They're stayed informed. And yeah, maybe that's, but applying in the 80s, that might be real with journalistic integrity. But these days, nothing is true, right? And you'll be substantially poorer if you follow the news. So that goes ahead and knock the number one off. The next skill set you need to learn is a high income skill set. Now, this is truly based on everything that I want you in your life because you can never be better than yourself learning one high income skills. But learning multiple high income skills and stacking them together, I mean, you can almost imagine Lego blocks. The more of these high income skill set that you can stack, the more money that you'll make. So when you're looking at something and you're deciding, hey, should I put in my time and effort into this? Should I learn the skill set? Ask yourself, is this a high income skill set? Is this a skill set that will continue to pay me over the years? A couple of examples of high income skill set is learning online marketing, coding, content creation, AI. Millionaires have high income skill set that is valuable to the marketplace. Multimillionaires have multiple high income skills that are very valuable to the marketplace now. I know it's easier said than done, but you might just be stuck here and say, hey, where do I actually get started? That's why earlier I literally unlocked myself in my room for 4 full days to get to the bottom of this question, which is what is the best high income skill set in order to make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year online. Now, I actually evaluated by creating a money making matrix. Now, what it does is evaluate the best business model and then uses data, a very specific formula, to assess truly what is the best business model in 2025. It's been one of my most viewed shorts in my Instagram, but the comment section is actually where I've loved it. Now, I'll leave it to the first link in the description for you if you want to understand what is the best skill set. But now let's move on. Now, skills number 3. It's something that even multimillionaires and billionaires struggle with to stay. And the sooner you learn the skills, the sooner you become a millionaire. The next millionaire skill set is learning to say no. Now, this was something that I was amazing at growing up, but kind of I made my first few millions, and you get distractions and you get opportunities and this and that, and just starts to pile up a little bit more things in your life. But so important to stay disciplined. Say no to 99.9 of the things, because the right thing comes up to you. You want to make sure that you actually have the bandwidth and energy and the space in order to grow in these opportunities. Learning to say no is one of the best skills you could learn in your life. And especially when you are first starting out, it's so important. Learn to say no to your friends. I want to go out to party. Learn to say no to favors. You don't always have to do favors for people. And also, very importantly, learn to say no to certain opportunities. If you've already committed to one and you know that it's the right thing to get you to where you want to get, say no to the things that does not get you there. And make sure that you accomplish and become the one that you want to become in life. Now, moving on, everyone travels, but it's a real skills to know how to travel. And that's why millionaire skills number 4 is travel, but travel less. Now, traveling to put yourself in a new environment can actually be incredible, productive for you. In fact, I spent a large portion of my years traveling. It's just to get to know, stay away from the noise, and a great place for me to sort out work and focus. The key is go to those 3 places and go to the places you like for 2 to 3 months. And you might wonder, how did I include these 4 skill sets of millionaires? Because it's very, very simple. And it is when they make the first $100,000 of $2,100 or $300,000, they make those sorts of numbers, they make 6 or multiple 6 figures. And then they're like, you know what, this is cool, but I could be traveling and doing this, then start traveling around the world, and they have, they're flying every 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and they're sort of nomading. And they have to adjust consistently to new environments. They have to find a gym, they have to find, restaurants that they like, they have to, find a local supermarket that they like. There's just so many inestable things in life. And as I said, I found this digital nomad really, really caps people out. There's things, if you want to make 100K a year or even maybe 200K a year, that's awesome. Then for sure, for digital nomad things, like it's right now, it will work. But that's because I've had my main business. I'm my main advertising agency and e-commerce for the 6 years up to this point. Learn how to build a system, stuff like that. But for those who are just starting out, and said it's really important to have that stability of environment, and that just having your own environment optimized. So traveling is fine. Everyone needs to travel. Just be a lot more conscious, right? And also when you travel, try to travel to places that you're going to spend the same amount of time and money as wherever you live, or potentially even save money by traveling. That's why I love Hong Kong and traveling in Asia. So there are a lot of great places like Bali, Thailand, US. There's nice places, and also your ecosystem is going to be very different, right? And that will really accelerate you in the right direction. And Dubai is a great place because it's also very safe and secure, and there's everything that you need. And so that's number 1. Number 2, just sort out the nature of it. It's like everyone sort of flip-flops, and it's just like very, I've spent a lot of time out there, and I've spent extended months out there. It's just a very hard place to really, really scale up your business and make your first million. So as I said, I want to include this as a millionaire skill set number 4, because I see a lot of people, not when they're first starting out, but once they make, an initial decent amount of money, I see a lot of those people, getting tripped up with this. Right, now the next skills is the one out of the seventh that I personally didn't learn sooner, and I absolutely am kicking myself because of it. Millionaire's skill set number five is starting investment today. Listen, to become a millionaire, the most important thing is to learn a high income skill set and build business. Now, to stay a millionaire and then also multiply the wealth and continue to live the lifestyle of a millionaire, over the future years, the most important thing is invest. Let me tell you something. A lot of people aspire to make $1 million. But the issue is, like, first of all, you have to pay taxes. Then, you have to even make it. Then after the taxes, right? So if you have $1 million, you either live like one, right, or you spend it, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. So let's say, it's a good lifestyle. Um, but you fly business class, you fly first class everywhere, and stay in really nice places, and dress very nice stuff, and have a nice car and a nice watch, and sorts of all sorts of millionaire lifestyle. You're gonna spend 300, 400, 500,000. It's very easy to even spend 1 million or 2 million a year. I am like you, and I want to be honest, right? Because you want to live truly to who you are. Just because you make $1 million doesn't mean you need to live that millionaire lifestyle, because then you'll be spending what you get. And you really want to actually live off the passive income that you make from that 6 to 7 figures, right? Right. So the most important thing right there is from $1 million, you now have to only make 7% a year, and you'll be able to live off that $100,000. And you can live very well for sure, but not sorts of like imagine people of millionaire style. Like it's not, you're gonna be able to live off that the first $1 million after tax. So that's why it's important to keep growing your income and keep making money, and then invest in. So that's way your point of investment portfolio actually takes you to living like a millionaire lifestyle. Unfortunately, I started a meaningful investment when I turned 20. After I made $1 million from the business, I invest. It's not sexy. It's not the best tool in your arsenal for offense. Building a business is continue to grow your business, but it's not only about offense. It's also about your defense. When you invest your money, you also don't spend as much because you actually have a place to put it. Now, I know a lot of people say that, well, you could have just saved and you can just put it in cash, but it's just at some point, like, it doesn't bring you anything. It doesn't bring you any yield. It's not exciting. It's just sitting there. There's numbers in your bank account that's growing up, whereas you invest, you see portfolio rises, and you see, especially if you're starting to earn a passive income from it, you know exactly how much you're making every week or every month from passive income. It becomes so addictive. Invest now. Whether that's crypto, whether that's stocks, whether that's, even handling your stable coins, or earning passive yield monthly, or even alternative investments like, NFT, watches, any sorts of collectible, whatever it is, start investing sooner rather than later. And by that time, I don't care if you have thousands of dollars a month, right? It doesn't matter to me. Still invest $200,000 of it, and because once you start running and becomes a habit, you get to a point where making $100,000 a month, which, trust me, you will by the end of watching all sorts of these videos, it will be sooner than you think. When you get to that point in life, it's just about the habits of investing, at least 20% of income. I mean, $10,000 or $100,000 a month shouldn't even be more than that. And you'd be surprised that there's a lot of people out there who make millions a year, but also spend millions a year. So start investing as soon as possible. The next millionaire skill set will save you a lot of money and also really increase the quality of your life along the way. And that's actually getting a really good tailor. Now, once again, this might be one of those skill set where it's kind of scratching your head and going, why have you included this? And this is very simple reason. Once people start making money, I see people waste so much money on expensive clothes, designer brands, this, that, when instead of you all need to know is go to Uniqlo, Muji, and one of these high quality brands, that has no graphics or anything like that. Take an item from there and just go take it to your tailor. And depending on the item, it will cost you anywhere from $20 to $40 per item. It's all you need to do. And you don't need to go expensive with tailors, right? You just need someone that can tailor you and you look like $1 million. So clothes are such a waste of money. But at the end of the day, fashion is a big part of life. And by the way, this is coming from someone who doesn't wear items that are cheaper than $500. I mean, even just a simple white cotton tee, that this is from $500, right? It will cost you anywhere from $500 to $20,000. The shoes, the jeans, the t-shirt, the sweaters, and the jackets. And there's not a single brand in sight. I really, really like high-end brands, and it's good quality and finishing rather than, just designer stuff. Now, I know this is ridiculous, but in my position, with the over eight figures investment portfolio and a business to make millions a year, I really like fashion, and I really don't like labels or brands. I like to be, more under the radar with what I wear. But that is an era of life that I still like to spend a lot of money in. So as I said, this coming from someone who spends a lot of money on their wardrobe, and I'm even telling you it's so unnecessary. Back in the days, I used to go to some of these brands like Uniqlo, Muji, and I even go to, these outlet stores. Some of these brands that I liked, brands like Zenga, Laura Piana, Sandra, which are a little bit more on the pricier side, but if you go to outlet of these stores, you can get them very cheap. Or I used to even go to secondhand stores, especially I live in Hong Kong, and there's some really good secondhand store and very nice brands. It's just they've been worn before, and I would just take it for cheap, and at least inexpensive compared to what it would cost me, right? And looking better than most people is actually very important, right? Because getting it tailored shows that you're taking care of yourself, right? When I already made $1 million, I started making, the reasons I included is because it really pains me to see people who are on the way to make their first $1 million, and that it's a very important point in your life, and they're wasting money on designer brands and this and that. Like, so I could have called the skills like, hey, you don't spend monies on designer brands, but they said get a tailor, and you're gonna look way better than people who are just spending tens, thousands, as much as you are on designer clothes. Inevitable costs in life, but you might as well spend wiser and shop wiser. Now, the last millionaire skills is learning how to use credit card and get its reward. Now, I only started using credit cards when I just turned 24. And not only credit cards, but even like loyalty programs for things I use often. I should have started way sooner. Even just registering profiles at different places I can shop, and stuff like that. And be smarter with your spending, because it's painful, because I only got my credit card, when I almost turned 24, and I was a millionaire of spending $1,000, and I'm done between myself and the business. I could have gotten rewards. For now, I must stress that it is incredibly important that you actually trust yourself with a credit card, and you know that you're the type of person who will pay back on time. But if you can't do these things, then a credit card is incredibly valuable. I mean, from spending that I do on my Amex, anyways, as you know, I live in Hong Kong, so basically wherever I get, right, I can fly from economy to business with the credit card updates. I don't have to pay for a lot of things, because the store credits or the rewards can pay for my bills, right? And so that saves a lot of money based on the things that I normally do. So you have your own, you can have your own beds in the plane or a private suite and all that stuff, and it's just really good to kind of upgrade it with your credit card. And because the business and I'm spending that money anyways, so it's really important to get a good credit card, and really get all the miles back. And so this is the last thing that I think is very important, but you need to know how to use a credit card. Otherwise, your credit card is not gonna really work out, right? But American Express is one thing that I really use. I'm not sponsored by them, and it had tons of other great benefits, rewards. You can go to lounges, you can upgrade and all that stuff, and there's no credit limit. And when you go and buy things, there's no credit limit, right? And there's a lot of good rewards programs, when you spend a certain amount. So, mixing it with 3 to 4 months up to a year, you're spending up to $1 million. Just 3% is a lot of cash back, right? And so remember, for those who are in the world of having the money to spend, remember, This is very important. So ladies and gentlemen, these millionaire skill set will not only be able to make you first million, you'll be able to keep it, and most importantly, you'll be able to multiply. Now, I want you to go ahead and leave me a comment down below. What millionaire skills do you think I left out? I'm going to be reading all of them and responding to you guys as well. So I hope you enjoyed and catch you in the next one.